Here I am after so many years, hounded by hatred and trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound, chained by the caveman who keeps beauty down, smacked on the ass when they're squalling and wet. And to a spineless man who never forgets, never forgets that he's a prisoner. Can't you hear my plea? 'Cause I need somebody, Lord knows, to listen to me. I'm a stranger to my son who wonders why his daddy runs, yeah. can't nobody see just who in hell I am. Hemmed in by a suit, yes, or choked up in a tie. Ain't no wonder sometimes, dear morning, I hear my woman cry. She knows her man is a prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? Yeah, 'cause I need somebody, whoa, to listen to me. My woman, she don't say, but she hates to see her man change this away. Yeah, help me. I'm the prisoner. Greetings, my name is Frank Brown. I'm with my brother,
Abdul Haqq,
who's a former political prisoner. For those who don't know, if it's your first time tuning in, please share, please like. We need to build up our subscription on our YouTube channel titled N.E.P.P.C. As you heard our brother, our comrade in the struggle guild, Scott Heron say about being a prisoner. He's pleading with the people to understand the pain of a prisoner. So we're here because we're inspired by testimonies like that. And we come to you again to talk, to continue the conversation about the importance of teaching our children about political prisoners. We understand that in some schools it's Spirit Week, right? So this is the time where one day they might dress a certain color, another day they might wear their hair another color, another day they might match up with a friend. Another day they might wear the school colors. So this is the opportunity to teach the children that on one of those days, one of them days might reflect culture. We need to reflect on political prisoners. We need to think about political prisoners and what their sacrifice was. Right, when we think about our historical struggle as people of African descent, and we look at what happened since the first slave catcher caught our ancestors, brought them over here to be the workforce by force, we understand that that's how they built up their economy. And in that struggle, there were people who made sacrifices. There were some martyrs. There were people who were killed. There were people who were in prison. And that's why when we talk about any struggle for Black people, so-called Black people's self-determination, we have to include the political prisoner. Because the political prisoner is the frontline soldier. The political prisoner says nothing more important than my freedom, even my life. And that's why when we talk about our political prisoners and we talk about freeing them, that's how we need to take that. We need to take that up seriously. We need to give them the respect that they earn, the respect that they deserve. And that's why we're out here putting our podcast out on a weekly basis. Brother told me that I should talk about the Attica uprising. And indeed, that's very important. 50 years ago, September 9th, 1971, over 50 years ago, that is, to be exact, the Attica uprising. Because just because they're prisoners, they didn't want to be treated inhumane. They had a small budget that was going to provide them with their sanitary needs. There was a small budget to provide their dietary needs. So this budget put them in a compromising situation to their diet, to their hygiene. And you know, if you have poor hygiene now, you're susceptible to diseases. So now when we look at that, that allowed them to organize. So you had about 1,200 or maybe more so-called inmates coming together and saying, we have to take a stance. We're going to do something. We're taking a position, a definitive position when it comes to our interests because we are human. And I think that this has to be taught to our youth, and they need to be inspired to fight because to know your history and to know the history of the political prisoner is to know more about yourself. Abdul Haqq.
Yeah, peace and love, brothers and sisters. Like Brother Frank was saying, we have to really prioritize what our children learn during this Black History Month and every day. This Black History Month, history has become a very, very big topic this Black History Month. Right now, the reactionaries, those who have committed monstrous, dehumanizing acts of criminality against our people, now want to hide the monstrousness of what they've done, because they know that focus on this and analysis of this will bring forth resistance and opposition, So it's very, very important that we control the education of our kids. Right now, teachers are fearful of what they should say during Black History Month because they fear they're losing their jobs. The system is coming at them because of pressure from the bloodsuckers, and indeed, the past has been a horrendous past, one that when we are aware of it, will make us want to fight back, will make children want to fight back. I'm going to read a little something about a book that someone wrote about the law of the jungle. The law of the jungle, heartlessness, killing, you understand, predators prey on prey, you understand, bloodthirsty, and this is what our history has been a blood-drenched history, with fingerprints leading right up to these bloodsuckers today. Their fingerprints are all over the world, So there's a book written about this system by someone called Upton Sinclair, a socialist, talking about the dehumanizing effects of capitalism. I'm going to read something about the theme of that book. The name of the book is The Jungle. The jungle portrays the many vices and injustices that result from capitalism, including horrific working conditions, child labor, political corruption, prostitution, drinking, cheating, and crime. Throughout the book, capitalism has a dehumanizing effect, turning men into animals or machines be used for profit. So this is what happened to us through a dehumanizing effect. The oppressor saw us as animals, beasts of burdens, no more dignity than a mule or a cow or a horse, to be used, and to obtain this objective of dehumanizing us, they used violence. Violence was their main tool. Terrorism, torture, you understand, disrespect, and some of our people, became weakened by that. But the value of our political prisoners was that, in spite of all this, they stood up, you understand, and they maintained their humanity. The beast wanted to make us inhuman, to treat us like a dog, but there was rebels among us who maintained their humanity, their honor, their respect, and would not allow themselves to succumb and see the enemy as a model to follow after. Another thing in terms of preventing crime among our brothers and sisters, is to show the evil nature of crime. One thing that happens when our people look at the enemy and see the enemy as amassed a great wealth, some will be fooled into thinking that the way that the enemy went about that is the path to take. So the result is crime. So we have a problem of crime in our cities, in our communities. based on a criminal culture. The culture is a part of the superstructure of the infrastructure of the system, of the money making system. So in this culture, money now becomes a god, an idol. Something which demands us to commit heinous acts, to rob our own mother, to sell our brothers out. As the OJ said in the record, for the love of money, a man will sell his own mother, will rob his own brother. So that's Americanism. Being American. One thing about our people out here who are murdering one another, they're Americans. They are taking on this culture, to think that the way to get over is to have no concern about the harm, of others, of your brothers and sisters, and so we have this problem, of criminality and gun violence against our people.
Yes.
And part of the history that we need to be aware of are these centers, these inner cities, were centers, were a core of vice and prostitution and immorality. Places like New Orleans,
Yes.
the very, very called Sin City, Las Vegas, New York, St. Louis, these inner cities, were criminality and vice and this predatory type of existence, you understand, was glamorized. It is said, someone gave an example of how that a prey, which is to be eaten, will look at the predator, the predator looks all beautiful, and the prey will be hypnotized, looking at the predator, looking at the snake. The snake is about to eat you, but because of awe and fascination of the enemy, you understand, one is petrified, you understand, is paralyzed and can't do nothing, you understand, can't fight back, and the enemy eats him. You dig? That's a parable in terms of what this system has done to us. So political prisoners and political consciousness of people who have used history as a weapon. I've been around brothers in the penitentiary who have used history as a weapon to change their lives. And so we need to use our history as a weapon to prevent our kids, you understand, from going down this wrong path, you understand, for the benefit of the community.
Absolutely. And I think that this idea that you just evaluated on, this predatorial idea that the capitalist has, is an idea that the political prisoner fought against. Because the political prisoner said that if I don't do anything about this, then I am just as guilty as the one who initiated this idea, because I am causing more harm to my people than should be done in the first place. And this is why it's very important that whenever we talk about anything that's occurring, past, present, or future, we have to look at the political prisoner, even the future political prisoners, because this, as it was told to me, that we have to be concerned about political prisoners, because at any time you might be one. And you being a political prisoner, you understand what that means, because you was out there in the front line. You were struggling to organize people. In fact, you did organize people, and then that pressure came on because now you pose a threat, right? Anybody who is in power, once they understand that the people who they get their power from, because let us be honest, right? And let us be specific. This parasitic system understands that it has to exploit the people. It has to exploit the working class in order for it to be powerful. So if there's a group within this working class that raises their consciousness, then the whole system is going to change around. Because once people are conscious, they decide that they have to do something. Either they do something now, or their future is not looking good. Right? What Marcus Garvey said, he said, when organizing the people fail to organize the people, conditions will. Right? So now the conditions happen a certain way, and people make a decisive decision about what they have to do for food, clothing, and shelter, because these things are not guaranteed to them. Right? We live in a society that says that these are not human rights. The political prisoner understand that these are human rights and they're worth fighting for. So the political prisoners takes a position, and because of their position, then they're in their current state, which is the penitentiary. And this is why we have to organize to bring them home. It's going to need we need everything we can do. If you can donate. Is my cash app is $ Sefus and Kofa. I'm gonna give you a receipt about what's being done with the money, so you know that we're not running no scam. Um, our name is very important, and that's why we want to give you as much information as possible regarding the type of work that we're doing. If you happen to live in South Jamaica, Queens, understand that Brother Kamal Siddiqui, he had the birthday coming up. Matter of fact, speak about Kamal Siddiqui and the work that was that their organization was doing regarding at the time that he was in the Black Panther Party when they had the office on 107, and it was New York Boulevard at the time, but now it's currently God Brewer. Just speak to that history about the Panthers and what was going on in one place was going on in another place in terms of providing free breakfast program.
Yeah, free breakfast. Also, providing political education. Being a moral example. Leading people from possibly getting caught up in a life of criminality to productivity, leading our people to resist, to make our people understand they had power. One thing the enemy wants to do is to make you feel that you're powerless, to make you feel like you're hopeless and helpless. People often talk about the slave owner and the slave master, but the most heinous in the system was the slave breaker, the one that broke the spirit of the black man. Made the black man feel there was nothing he could do to fight back. Through terrorism, torture, inflicting pain. You understand? This was the most heinous aspect of the slave system, the one that broke the spirit. So one thing that the political prisoners and the revolutionaries did was that they gave a spirit to the people. They increased the spirit of resistance, the belief that we can win, the confidence. You understand? The belief in our humanity. You understand? The recognition of our humanity, the fight for our human rights. We have human rights to think: food, clothing, and shelter,
Absolutely.
education, medical.
Absolutely.
We have these human rights.
Speak to truth to power, brother.
When the enemy wants you to think that you are subhuman, then if you go for this con game, you ain't gonna fight for nothing. You ain't gonna have no fighting whatsoever. So our revolutionaries and some of them who became political prisoners, are very, very valuable asset to us because
Absolutely.
they kept alive the spirit of resistance.
Indeed.
One that a pet dog does not have. When a dog is beaten and dehumanized at a certain point, he just put his tail between his leg and drop his head and won't do nothing. But no, we stand up straight, we stand up strong, you understand, with iron will and determination.
Speak truth to power, brother.
Fight back, to fight for our rights, to fight for justice, the love of justice, the love of self. You understand what I'm saying? And our political prisoners, you understand, were great examples of this. And like I said, many of our brothers and sisters who changed their lives, history was a very, very important tool in changing their lives. Like Brother Malcolm said, of all areas of study, history is the best reward research because it shows you what people did to get themselves together. So
absolutely,
it's very important this month to understand the importance of history. The enemies are showing, they're going through conniptions. They're having nervous breakdowns about history right now. So sometimes we might have to teach our children outside of the classroom. You understand? Because, like I said a few minutes ago, some of our teachers are now becoming fearful that they'll lose their jobs because of the backlash from the enemy. So we have to, those of us who choose to have other type of programs outside the school system, we have to put in our children's heads the idea, the importance of history. Even when you're outside the classroom, once you've been through education, you learn certain skills, such as the skill of research. How to go through history and find out facts to understand the difference between fantasy and truth, for the reality and what is false in the myth. This is one thing. When people become independent and have the research skills, they can do this. So we must put this in our children. You understand? To understand, not to go for historical three-card Molly. You understand that the enemy, wants to inflict on us. So take up this weapon. You understand, and use it full force. To build and for us to maintain that high level of humanity, such that Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, talked about when he said that America is that racism and violence is America's cherry pie. You understand? That was a great blow to the system. But he said something else that is just as devastating to the system when he said anybody can, as Imam Jamil, he said anybody can fight, but everybody can't win. He said the price of winning is high. The price of winning is to stay on the level of your nafsi al-mutmainah, which is the highest level of our humanity. So when we understand the value of our humanity, the perfection of our humanity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in us, Allah with his infinite wisdom created perfection in the human being. So we're operating at a higher level of our humanity, then we can win. When we liberate ourselves and free ourselves from the prison of slavery to our lower, beastly desires. That is the American way. Americans are slaves to their lower desires. If you look at all statistics, of its destructive evils, America leads the world in all destructive criminality, all type of sexual immorality. Suicide, alcoholism, drug addiction, all these type of things, because America, to a great extent, lives on the level of its lower desires that compels toward evil. And the economic system of America is economic, the Nazi Alamara on the economic level, going around the world, perpetual wars to rape, rob, and pillage, to build the wealth, of a few blood-sucking capitalists, that they want us all to bow down and prostrate to. But no, we stand up strong to the fullest of our humanity and fight back Black power.
Black power, absolutely. Once again, we are touching on very important topics, and we hope that people have these conversations amongst their family. Please share with at least 10 people, because as we expand this idea, then we'll get people to get involved. Consider donating. As I said, my hashtag, my cash app is $Sanfusin You can send that money to me, and I'll make sure I give you a receipt. Challenge me to do better in terms of what I'm doing towards political prisoners, because this is very important that this work be taken serious, because when we really look at the political prisoner and the political prisoner being in their current situation, we know that if you did 30 or 40 years, when you finally come home, there's only but so many years you have left, because the life expectancy period for people who are not incarcerated is 72 or something like that. And imagine you already did that many years and you're already in your 70s. So when you come home, you got a few more years, and those years should be spent with your family. It's very sad that people like Sundiata Acoli is being denied his release, and people like Dr. Mutulu Shakur is being denied his release. You got brother Kamal Siddiqui being denied his release, and they're being denied their release not because of what the state is doing, but because the lack of participation, the lack of people seriously organizing to bring them home. Because we are taxpayers, and we determine who can be released and who gets incarcerated. And let us not ever underestimate our power as a people, because once we are organized, that power is expressed. And then, the state is at our mercy. So we have to keep that in mind when we think and say, what is it that I can do? Or what is it that we can do? We have to be involved first. And once we start getting involved, then we'll learn from our mistakes and we'll only get better. When we first did this podcast, me and my brother, it was rough, but we committed to it and we continue to do that every week because we understand that we are accountable. And that's what our comrade, our Field Marshal Coltrane Shimarenga taught us. You are accountable. And being said, it lets you look at yourself and you say, I can relax a little bit more, right? I have to challenge myself to do more work, but I'm not guilty about not doing no work because so many people examine what's happening and they'll just say that's messed up. They'll say it in a profanity way, but that's the extent that they're going to. And we can't be like that because that doesn't resolve the problem. It continues to allow it to go on because people are not making the distinctions between being active and being entertained. When you say that something is wrong and you just want to have a dialogue about it and you have no game plan around an action that should be taken, then you are continuing to allow it to happen and you are continuing to allow people such as yourself to suffer. So here on the N.E.P.P.C podcast, we say that we're not going to do that. We're going to get involved. You have seen us have an episode in Queensbridge. We intend to continue to do things similar to that. Some things are not always on of view because of the time and the time that we have to do it. But we are in tune with local organizations that support us. I've been to Queensbridge. I gave a number of organizations the open letter that Sundiata Akoli had written to the community of Queensbridge. It's posted in a couple of lobbies. I hope it's continue to be there. Friday, I'm gonna try to get back out there and post up some more. Just want to be consistent. I intend to do the same thing in South Jamaica houses because Kamal Siddiqui would frequent the area when he was part of the Black Panther Party when they had the office on what was known at the time New York Boulevard. We have to continue to let a community be educated about who their heroes are because these are national heroes and we have to continue to fight for them. Right. So what's the call?
Free them all.
Free them all. Free them all. But
and,
go ahead, brother, because I'm going to get the people know.
Exactly what Frank just said about our heroes. Honor our heroes. We must honor our heroes. The enemy will try to tell you that they are to be forgotten. Forget about them. They're criminals, No, we say honor our heroes. Honor Kamal Siddiqui, who lived up to the principle of not snitching, who refused to betray his comrade, you understand, Asad Shakur, you understand, when they told him that if he snitched on her and set her up, that he would not have to go to jail. So now he's doing a long prison term because he refused to betray his comrade. In the spirit of Matulu Shakur, a brother who I did a little bit of time with, this is a brother who will stand up against something 100 feet tall, you understand, and defend himself. This is a brother, you understand, who was an expert in acupuncture, who cured drug addicts of their addiction, you understand, who had a program to stop the violence, the type of brother that young cats look up to. Young cats look up to tough guys. You know what I'm saying? The brother, that's a bad so-and-so. They look up to cats like this. Cats like George Jackson, who transformed his life when he was in jail. These are the type of people that our young brothers in the street look up to. They don't look up to little wimpy cats like Barack Obama. They don't look up to nobody like that. If they were to tell them to stop the violence, no. They'll look up to brothers and sisters like the brothers I'm talking about, our heroes. Honor our heroes. Former political prisoner Sekou Odinga, who would not leave his comrade behind. You understand? These examples, you understand, principles that people lived up to. Honor Mumia Abu Jamal, who, while in prison, used scholarship and journalism, you understand, to expose the system. You understand? Through reading, you understand? Through using the power of intellect. You understand what I'm saying? These are examples for our youth, to pick up on. You know, so yeah, we say, you know, these are our stolen treasure, these are stolen lives, you know, and they owe us, you know, they deserve to be free. And like Chairman Fred of the Black Panther Party said, wherever there's people, there's power in the people. So never feel that this enemy is so omnipotent that anything he wants to do, any whim that he has, he can get it off. You understand? And that they will never let our political prisoners free because they got this godlike infallibility, this omnipotence. You know, never feel like that. Political prisoners are revolutionaries, those who fought back. You understand? They put that type of power in the people. You understand? And that type of power needs to be out here. That spirit needs to be out here with our people. You know, as today, as we have another white backlash led, you know, when a little wimpy Barack Obama became president, there's a big white backlash. I think they sold immediately they sold about 3 million guns to white folks. You understand? And you know, we got more guns than that in the street, but we use them on each other. But you know, we got this backlash right now, you understand? So we need this courage, you know, in our people, you know, so they won't bow down. And on the far other end of the scale, you know, those who become Uncle Toms and Black Sambos and race traders, you know, our political prisoners are the exact opposite of that. The great example of what we got to be. Don't be no sellout. Never sell out. Never betray your people. Never be disloyal to your people. You know, never let a dollar or a meal or a hamburger, you understand, or a cookie, you understand, a little dog biscuit, you understand, make you turn traitor against your own people. Stand up, you understand, with the honor that our political prisoners have. Honor your heroes, support them, you understand, and demand that they be free. Fight for them to be free. Black power.
Black power. So you know how we do it. Let's hear words from our brother Killer Mike.
Right on.
Well, I'm having some problems showing Killer Mike speaking, but for those who haven't heard it, Killer Mike is talking about the importance
idea, Miss Kathy Hughes of Radio 1. She's like, Michael, it is time that you guys organize a fund to set aside to help people who sacrifice for our freedom. Meaning, every time something happens, I hear this. Why don't the gang bangers jump up and do something for it? Why don't you kill them? You kill each other. And I say to myself, when is the last time you sent money to Asada Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Matulu Shakur? When is the last time you sent money to Mumia Abu Jamal or Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or Leonard Peltier? When is the last time you have made it your business to send money to a revolutionary or a hoodlum that has helped us? And until we start to do that, how can we ask these young men to be warriors? Because if they do it in the name of the hood, at least the hood gonna honor their name always. At least the hood gonna make sure at least their children got something or their mama's house is looked after. As a community, if we're going to ask people to bungee jump for us with no cord, be prepared to take care of them when they get a life sentence. Be prepared to look after their families. See, I don't mind the work getting done, but let's take care of the workers. Let's stop asking more out of people than we would do for ourselves. So what I'd like to see, my dream thing, is to see 1 million people from the culture dedicate $10 a month. That's $10 million a month, $120 million a year toward taking care of civil rights leaders who have worked on our behalf and are elderly now and don't have to take care of themselves, like Rosa Parks, whose rent was paid by the owner of Little Caesar's Pizza. We should have had a fund to make sure that she never had to worry about that again in her life. We should have a fund that makes sure money makes Asada Shakur and Matulu Shakur has legal representation and food. And Leonard Peltier, who has diabetes in jail, can get insulin and taken care of. And until we start doing it, $10 a month is about what you pay on a couple fast food restaurant business. So if 1 million of us do that for the rest of our life, look at how well we'll be taking care of the people that we're asking to sacrifice on our behalf.
I agree. And recently